Welcome everybody. Today we're doing a presentation about gin mayonnaise. Me and my group, the names you can see here. Gin mayonnaise is a product that was originally produced by a restaurant called Moslem Gin, based in Amsterdam. As you would guess, it's a product that consists of gin and mayonnaise. The report that we made and the presentation is going to be about exporting gin mayonnaise to another country, which is South Africa. To start with exporting the gin mayonnaise, we have made a SWOT analysis on South Africa. Well, as you can see, the strengths of the products are that it is an innovative brand. Gin mayonnaise, Moslem Gin was the first to make gin mayonnaise. It's a typically Dutch product consisting of Dutch gin and Dutch mayonnaise. The restaurant already has a streamlined production line in Amsterdam, which can easily be copied into another country, or it can be used to produce a lot to export abroad. The product comes in only one flavor/size. Alright, so the weaknesses are that the product comes in only one flavor/size. So there aren't any smaller sizes or bigger sizes. For example, to sell to a restaurant, because restaurants usually want larger packages to use in the restaurant. Another weakness is that the mayonnaise contains alcohol, which some people wouldn't like in South Africa. So that might be a reason to reject the product. And another weakness is that it's a rather small company if you compare it to big market leaders. So the Moslem Gin lacks strong financial muscle. The opportunities on the external scale, the growing demand for innovative and creatively inspired mayonnaise, new flavors, unknown flavors, that's growing. So that's a good opportunity. There's a growing demand for higher quality food products. People are getting more aware of food requirements, and another opportunity is that there's a growing demand for higher quality food products in South Africa. So people become more aware of the requirements that certain foods should have, and the South African economy is growing, and the growth is expected to remain positive in 2017. As for the threats, there are a lot of big competitors like Crafts or Hellmann's, who are market leaders in mayonnaise in South Africa. And as of now, there's no brand awareness whatsoever of gin mayonnaise, because it's a totally new product. And another threat is that the South African economy is very unstable. There's a lot of corruption, a lot of poverty, and these are many troublesome weaknesses that can also impact corporate payment behavior. As for the next slide.
All right. To get a good view of the company, we have made a business canvas model to be. First, on the right side, for me to the left, we are looking to the customer segments. As you can see, we have targeted our group in people who are like to eat mayonnaise, people who would like to eat sauce by a meal or sandwich, people who like the different flavors, and people who like to drink gin, of course. After that, we have there's customer relationships. As in Amsterdam, we want to sell gin mayonnaise in the restaurants, and if you order gin mayonnaise, you get a tube for free. You can bring it at home if it's not empty. We will also want to do that in South Africa. Another customer relationship is that when we export to South Africa and we sell a tube of gin mayonnaise, a child will get free flip-flops. So that we want to do as a customer relationship. After that, we will look into the value proposition. Gin mayonnaise has a unique flavor, has a unique packaging, and you can eat gin mayo with everything. The key activities are marketing and sales, selling and created added value, distribution, and start relationship with restaurants and food festivals or food markets. After that, we will see the key researches, physical stores, patent. We have to ask patent because it's a unique product, so we don't want to copy that. Food festival and food markets, people, design, and service. If you look to the key partners, first of all, we have Bobby's Gin. That is where the gin mayo is made of, the gin of course. Then we have the mayonnaise. The mayonnaise is from Zaanse Hoeve. When we export to South Africa, we have to do business with multi-fried services for the fried, of course, to South Africa. After a couple of years, we want to introduce gin mayo to the restaurants. We have 3 restaurants. After that, we want to do supermarkets like Bay Harbor supermarkets and neighborhood market. If you look at the cost structure, it's manufacturing of the tubes, of course, the marketing and sales cost, the freight, the producing of the samples, and translate the gin of mayo tubes to English and African, of course, and the language of South African. If we look to the revenue streams, we are selling gin mayo tubes, the restaurant, of course, where we are selling our tubes, and the supermarkets, as I told before, and the food markets and food festivals. Now we're gonna discuss the objectives.
Yeah, so for our campaign and the launch of the product in South Africa, we made some objectives. I'm gonna discuss the short-term and the long-term goals. First, we've made 4 short-term goals for gin mayo, which are within the first year we would like and want to introduce the gin mayonnaise to be the South African market. Within the first year we want to be on all major food markets in Cape Town as well. Within the first year we want 10% of our target group to know what gin mayonnaise is. And within the first year we want 1% of our target group to have tasted the gin mayonnaise. So those were the short-term goals. Our long-term goals are that we want within 3 years to start selling gin mayonnaise in the supermarkets in Cape Town. Within the 3 years we want to be on all food markets in South Africa. And the last one is that within 5 years we want to start selling gin mayonnaise in all supermarkets in South Africa.
Okay, and then we have our improvement plan. We made up 3 7-point improvement plans, which concludes 21 improvements. From that, we concluded 5 improvements that needs to be done to achieve those objectives. First, we want to translate the tube, and that it will be done by our partner Textwork. They will translate the tube in a professional way in Engels and Afrikaans. Then, second, we will go to the food. We want to test our products on the food markets. We chose 2 food markets, the Old Biscuit Mill and the Bay Harbor Market. Those 2 markets are the most famous in Cape Town, and they attract a lot of local people, but also tourists. Then third, we want to produce samples. We want to produce small samples that contain gin mayonnaise, and we want to hand them out in South Africa on the food markets, but also in the restaurants. This will be done by Daklapek, that's a Dutch sampling company who produces those samples and also can put text on them. And as a fourth improvement, we want to test and partner up with restaurants. We chose 3 restaurants: the Butcher Shop and Grill, the Hudson's Burger Joint, and the Dog's Bollocks. These are trendy restaurants or burger bars in Cape Town who are willing to partner up with new brands and also can include gin mayonnaise within their menu. And finally, to achieve these improvements, we need a freight forward agent, and therefore we selected multi-freight services. They do the freight from ocean, on the road, and in the air, and they do the distribution within South Africa itself. Click. And then we have a cost overview. In the first year, we will approximately make 90,000 costs, and our turnover will be a little bit more than 3,000. As you can see, the profit isn't that much, but it's mainly just for testing, so the revenue won't be that big. And an overview of the cost, the cost includes translating the tubes, the stand cost on the food markets, distribution cost for the food markets, personnel costs for the food markets, production cost for the new samples we want to create, distribution cost for the restaurants, and the monthly cost for a freight forward agent. And our turnover includes the turnover of the food markets and the turnover of the restaurants, and those include the selling of the tubes.
Yeah, so we made a planning. As you can see, we in 2018 we want to start with contacting Delca Pack to translate the tubes and sign a contract of that. After that, we want to go to the food markets, as Nico already said in his improvement plan. We want to contact them if we get a stand over there, and so people can try the gin mayonnaise. Also in the first, hoe zeg je kwartaal?
Quarter.
In the first quarter, we want to have contact with multi-freight service and make an agreement for the year, so the cost will be lower. In February, we want to make our first sample, and and all the tubes are translated. Then we go to the second quarter. The first sample is sending to South Africa. If you look to the third quarter, we want to introduce gin mayo to the restaurants, and we want to have a Skype meeting with multi-freight service from how the business is going. In the fourth quarter, in the first year, we want to introduce the tubes. We want to produce the tubes for the South African sale. We want to contact food markets and food festival for evolution. In the second year, in the first quarter, we want to have a minimum of twice a month on a food market or food festival. In the second quarter of the second year, we want to do research for new flavors or new packaging. We want to innovate. Third quarter of 2019, we want to develop a new taste of packaging. And in the last quarter, we want to contact restaurants for evolution. After 3 years, we want to go to the supermarkets, but that's not in the planning.
So if you look at our final advice, a small wrap-up of our presentation, we advise gin mayonnaise to first try testing the product in the South African market before exporting it in a huge bulk. And besides that, we advise gin mayonnaise on short term to test the products on food markets and within restaurants. And on the long term, we advise them that if the product is tested well, to start selling the product in the restaurants, in the supermarkets. And so if you look at our last advice, we advise gin mayonnaise to take approximately 15,000 euros for the first year and 35,000 euros for the second year into account as cost for testing the product. So the five of us want to thank you for your attention, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation, and thank you very much.